The heavy rain outside crashed against the giant glass walls of the Grand Star Casino. Neon lights reflected on the wet streets, while expensive cars lined up outside the entrance. Inside, music played softly. Chips stacked high across tables. Rich guests laughed and celebrated wins. Then suddenly,
bang!
A fist slammed onto the poker table. Cards jumped. People froze. Raghu stood up. His face was full of anger. "What are you doing?" he shouted. Molly looked shocked. "Raghu, I'm tired of this," he yelled. "Everywhere I go, you're there. Casino, restaurants, meetings. I need space. Can't I breathe?" The room went silent. Molly stared at him. She felt like the ground beneath her had disappeared. For years she had been beside him, through every difficult moment. She knew when he was angry before he spoke. She knew when he was worried, even when he smiled. And now he was pushing her away in front of everyone. "You want me to leave?" she asked quietly. Raghu looked away. "Yes." Those 3 letters hurt more than shouting. Then a calm voice came from across the table. "Come here." Everyone looked. Banjo. The Korean boss leaned back in his chair calmly. He extended his hand. "You don't deserve to stand there feeling unwanted." Molly looked at Raghu one last time. Just one last chance. One word could stop her. But Raghu picked up his cards and said nothing. Slowly, she walked toward Banjo. Raghu's eyes widened. Banjo smiled. "Thank you for trusting me." Raghu suddenly swept the chips from the table. "Forget this game." He stormed out. But Molly didn't follow him. Days passed. Then weeks. The city started noticing something strange. Banjo and Molly were always together. At casinos. At restaurants. At parties. People whispered, "Is Molly with Banjo now? Did Raghu really lose her?" Molly smiled more than before. Banjo listened when she spoke. He noticed little things. If she looked tired, he asked why. If she looked sad, he sat beside her. But Molly still thought about Raghu. Meanwhile, Raghu was becoming miserable. At home he sat staring at empty rooms. He still expected Molly to walk through the door. Still expected her voice. Still expected her laughter. But nothing came. Then one night at another casino, Raghu saw Banjo and Molly laughing together. His jaw tightened. Then he saw Clara, Banjo's beautiful girlfriend. Raghu sat beside her. "What if someone treated you better?" he asked. Clara looked curious. Raghu smiled. Days later, Clara started spending time around him. Soon the city saw something even stranger. Banjo walked into casinos with Molly. Raghu walked in with Clara. Now, every entrance felt like a competition. People stopped watching cards. They watched them. Who looked happier? Who looked jealous? Who looked like they were pretending? Months passed. But inside, Raghu was struggling. One night, he finally stood up and shouted across a casino floor, "I want Molly back." People stopped moving. Banjo slowly looked up. "No." Raghu stared at him. Banjo stood. "You pushed her away." Raghu said nothing. "You rejected her in front of everyone." Silence filled the room. Because deep inside, Raghu knew he was right. Another high-stakes game started weeks later. Raghu and Banjo sat across from each other again. Molly sat beside Banjo. As the game continued, Molly quietly leaned over and whispered something. Banjo smiled and played differently. Raghu narrowed his eyes. Those strategies looked familiar. Very familiar. Then he realized. Molly knew his style after years together. She understood how he thought. Banjo won. Raghu slowly stood up. "Molly," his voice shook. "You taught him how to beat me?" Molly looked hurt. "I wasn't trying to hurt you. You already did." The argument became heated. Security rushed over. Police arrived after the disturbance. Everyone involved was taken away for questioning. Days later, Molly came to visit. She stood outside the visitor area. Her heart raced. Who should she see first? Banjo? Or Raghu? She closed her eyes, then walked toward Raghu. Raghu sat quietly. No anger. No shouting. Just silence. Finally, he looked up. "Why did you betray me?" Molly stared at him. Then tears filled her eyes. "Betray you?" She laughed sadly. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You pushed me away. You watched me walk away. You never stopped me. Raghu lowered his head. For the first time, he had no answer. Later, Banjo was released. Clara later helped Raghu too. Life moved on. Months later, fate brought everyone back together. Raghu looked at Banjo. One last game. Banjo smiled. Winner decides. The casino became packed. Cards moved. People watched. Sweat formed on faces. No one spoke. Then finally, Raghu played his final card. Banjo looked down, then laughed softly. You win. The room exploded. Raghu looked at Molly. He held out his hand. But this time, he didn't demand anything. He simply said, "The choice is yours." Everyone became silent. Molly looked at Banjo, then at Raghu. She walked slowly, then stopped in front of Raghu. I didn't come back because you won. Tears formed in Raghu's eyes. I came back because you changed. Weeks later, he surprised her with a ring. Not in a casino. Not in a crowded room. Just the two of them under evening lights. Molly, he said quietly, I spent so much time trying to win games that I almost lost the person I loved. She smiled. Then stop playing. She said yes. A year later, they got married. Years passed. The casino lights disappeared from their lives. Their home filled with children's laughter. And one evening, Molly sat beside Raghu watching the sunset. Do you miss the casinos? She asked. Raghu looked at his family, then smiled. No. I already won the thing that mattered most.